bunch of make a liar out of me. This should be short and sweet anyway. Oh, you here by yourself tonight?
Yeah.
There we go. And your file is. What the heck happened to it? Oh, you know what? I wonder if it's. Oh, that should.
Did you ever see that on Facebook with the old Italian lady?
Where did we put the PDF? Is it under?
You want the PDF again? Yeah, it's right on top.
Where?
Did you log in as you?
No. I wanted to put it in as guest.
Oh, no. No,
Oh,
'cause
oh,
we
it's
stuck it
under
in.
the-
Yeah, it's the person who we put it in as. So we logged in as you and put it on that desktop. Okay? So log in as you for that.
Okay.
So are you going to run from the PDF or are you going to run from the PowerPoint?
You can run from the PDF. I think it's fine.
Okay. Are you up first to find out?
No, the Chamber of Commerce is, but I don't know if they're using this. Are they?
I don't know if they're doing a presentation or not.
Here it is. Easton City Council. So if I want to put this on the user, because then I'll be logged in here.
You could go down to C here, or you can copy that.
Yep.
Okay.
So we don't
Get rid of this.
We don't want that, right?
That's
mapping the drive, right?
Drive, yeah. There. Okay. Just copy that. Okay. And go down to the folders. Go to the C drive. Okay. Okay. Just create a folder, or create something, or miscellaneous.
Why don't we just-
put it? Just put it someplace.
Oh, just paste
That's
it.
fine. Except for already created. That's okay. Where you been, corporate? Hold on. Hang on. That's me. I got it.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. All right. So now it's on drive C. Okay.
So now we can just log in
We
as.
can log in as guest.
This takes a little getting used. This is kind of new.
Well, we're trying to
The
do-
system is so much nicer now because we don't even have to bring drives anymore. We can log into our own PC.
And we're trying to do a lot of different things with it, whether we have a guest or whether we're going on our network.
And we're also
or
trying to
whether-
make it easier for you guys, like so it's already here prepared and it just makes life 18042.
And we'll put it back on the desktop here.
I did. Looks fine. No, just introduce you and should be short and sweet. No, I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that once they have some time to digest it. Really, one of the biggest stakeholders, we have like a contracting economic book, GDP. I don't know if you know with those guys, and they run a lot of the city's programming, farmers market. They're doing Westward partnership, and they're an important stakeholder, really good because they're out in the community. So I want to make sure they like it, but I always want to make sure they like it first.
Okay, good. Okay. So you can change.
You just
the
go to
view and do
go to
whatever you
full
need
screen
do
view.
when you're ready to rock.
What's up, Kurt?
How you doing? How you doing?
No worse for the wear.
Good.
Hanging in there.
Excuse me. Council's in executive session right now, so as soon as they come out, we'll begin. Unless they have questions. Okay. How's it going for you?
Slower, but I think we got a late start. We're trying again. I'm not.
Hey Frank, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right, they're coming.
We're ready.
How you doing? How's the little baby doing, all right?
Oh, good. We got our exercise walking up the stairs and walking from the office.
Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that. Hey, James, how you been? Very well, thank you.
Mayor, do you go off the paper agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. Because on the one that I sent out, it had the police report on yet from last time.
Oh, okay.
All the mics are on.
Most of the cats got your note the other day, and it was
Oh, I forgot.
Wait a
Well, again,
Format is,
Send me the most latest pod. I think the only thing we changed is the grade. And I think the fire department was too high.
oh, yeah.
But, all right.
Yeah, they brought it.
All right. I mean, it's not. I have it. All right. It's not. It's not urgent. All right. Of course.
You're doing fantastic. Of course you are. I should have known.
What's the hot issue? Oh. Right.
Presentation.
Yeah.
You're right. I do not like
It's gonna be a quick photo op.
You can't open it up with a telephone.
Well, I can. I can open mine,
Oh,
but I can't print it. When it prints, I goes off the side. We all ready? Who's we waiting for? Nobody. Ken? Ken's here. Dave's here.
Frank, they were on.
I'd like to call this stated session of City Council order. Please rise for the invocation followed by the pledge. We gather here this evening to make decisions for our community and our residents. May we use our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and the pitfalls of each matter that is placed before us, and always act in accordance with what is best for our community and our fellow citizens. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Mr. Clerk. No problem.
I'm sorry, sir. Something's wrong. Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Ettinger?
Here.
Mr. Milan?
Here.
Mr. O'Connell?
Here.
Dr. Ruggles?
Here.
Mrs. Volcano?
Here.
Mayor Panzo?
Here. Approval of the agenda? Move to approve. Second. Moved in second. Discussion. I'd like to take the resolutions C and D under the consent agenda off the agenda.
C and D?
C and D deal with 132 South Third Street, the Heritage Lanes building. I'd like to, in talking to members of the Historic District Commission, I'd like to remand it back to them for their final decision. Moved? Second. Moved in second.
Okay, this is on the amendment. Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Okay, a roll call on the amended agenda. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye. This time we have approval on the action of the minutes on February 27th. That's the wrong date, Mr. Clerk.
I'm sorry, it's
That's
February
the
13th.
13th.
Move to approve. Second.
Move to approve is second. Any additions, corrections, or deletions? Roll call.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye. At this time, I have the honor of swearing in Fire Chief Michael Krill.
Look at you, look at you.
Nice jacket.
Yeah.
Krill, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. I do solemnly swear. That I will support. I will support. Obey. Obey. And defend. And defend. The Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of this Commonwealth. And the Constitution of this Commonwealth. And that I will discharge the duties. And I will discharge the duties. Of the office of Fire Chief. In the office of Fire Chief. With fidelity. With fidelity. Thank you. All right.
Okay, good job.
I would just like to say a few words on the swearing in of Mr. Krill. See a couple family members here. See his wife Donna's here. Son, thank you so much for giving your husband and father to us. As with all the other firefighters who are here, their job is tough, and really appreciate the leadership, and I appreciate you guys showing up tonight for your new chief. And I wish Mike the best of luck. The decision was always an arduous task, but it was the right decision at the right time. And I think Mike's going to do a great job for our city, our residents, and more importantly for the men in his department, and maybe someday women as well. So thank you very much. Anything else? Okay, moving on. We have a presentation tonight by the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce, Lori and Lauren. Right at the podium, please, give your name and address.
Actual address?
Yes.
Lori Nelson, and we are located at 158A Northampton Street.
Hold on just a minute, please. Lori Nelson
Yes.
and 115 Northampton.
158A.
158A Northampton?
Yes.
And I'm Lauren Spence, and I'm also in that same office at 158A Northampton Street.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone. If we know a lot of you in the room, but for those of you that we don't know, Lori Nelson of the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber. We are the Easton and Phillipsburg liaisons, and we facilitate all the goings-on of the chamber in this area. We are the 7th largest chamber in the country, and also largest in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, with access to the 33 partnered councils and chambers, and all with the joint mission of improving the economy and quality of life within the Lehigh Valley.
At the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber, we are expanding our footprint beyond Northampton and Lehigh and Warren counties. We have a new partnership with the Pocono Chamber, as well as a growing relationship, and we are keeping our roots. That's why being regional for the chamber is so important to us. As we mentioned earlier, we are located right on Northampton Street, and it's really, really important to us at the chamber to have a presence on the main streets of all of our cities that we serve. Feel free to stop in anytime. Now you know the address. Our board is made up of 20 plus leaders from throughout the business community, a number of which are in the room with us. I wanted to give a little shout out to Melissa Starris and Joel Shear. Thank you for being here. Coming up, we are hard at work planning our Easton Mayor's Breakfast. This is an event we put on every year at Lafayette College. This year it will be held on Friday, May 22nd. Oh, sorry, March 22nd. Thank you. We're really excited. I know Mayor Panto's already hard at work on his presentation, so definitely come check that out. We are also looking.
Bright and early.
Oh yeah.
That's why I don't usually.
Oh, come on, Sandy.
We serve a great breakfast. I know Iron Pigs is a big fan of sponsoring the bacon there, so we promise there will be bacon. We're looking forward to also honoring our local businesses at our annual awards reception, which we hold every year in June. We are still in the process of notifying the award recipients who've been selected, but as soon as they all confirm that they are available for the date of the event, we will be sending that out via press release. So really excited to announce that.
And in February, we just had our Small Business Council hosted its 30th anniversary Snowball, which is our annual black tie dinner dance. This year, the beneficiary was our Main Street Lehigh Valley, which is our Greater Lehigh Valley's 501c3 charitable arm. So that is the organization that is in control of the grants that are come into our downtowns, which is the beautiful the Bank Street Annex lights, the open signs, as well as the beautiful bike racks and all that. That is all partially funded by those grants. So we were able to raise over $41,000 this year from that event, which is excellent. It's all going right back into our downtowns. Then also, the beauty of our chamber is not just about the regional aspect and our regional chambers that we are in control of, we also are constantly partnering with our Business and Diversity Council. So as a matter of fact, right now, there's an event going on at the Bayou of Easton, right over there, with our Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Council. So lots going on. Laura's going to talk to you some more about some of the other exciting events.
Sure. So another partnership that we're working on right now is, again, with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We are looking to bring a Cinco de Mayo festival downtown Easton. So we're in the works of that. It'll be in May, obviously. So more to come on that. We're also in the process, thanks to a connection through Lewis, we are in the process of bringing Veg Fest downtown to Easton this year. We have our first committee meeting next week to get started on the planning for that event, and that will take place in the fall. So more to come on that.
All right. And then also, we just wanted to give a shout out to Mayor Panto, who is everywhere. We're so thankful for your willingness to be at our ribbon cuttings, our grand openings, to be a last-minute guest speaker at our Emerging Leaders events. You're all over the Lehigh Valley at our valley-wide events, such as Economic Outlook in your favorite suburb of Easton, Bethlehem. And you're all
Stealing your jokes.
I know, sorry, that's a good one. And you're always repping our city and making us proud, so we're really thankful for that, for the relationship that we have. And also, Lewis, thank you so much for what you do for the Chamber, serving on the Hispanic Chamber Board as well as on our Board of Governors. So thank you very much for that.
So the Chamber is really excited to be welcoming Governor Tom Wolf at an upcoming event that is our Lehigh Valley All Mayors and Municipal Officials Reception, which is held at Arts Quest on April 15th. If you want more information on that, feel free to approach us at the end of this meeting. And we are also going to be this weekend at the inaugural Easton Phillipsburg Mardi Gras Parade. Super excited for that.
Right.
Oh yeah, 2 o'clock. He'll be Mayor Panto will be marching. So, did you find a good outfit? I know you were
Not
talking
yet,
about that
I
last night.
They can't get it to me by Friday.
Oh no,
Not
I'm
even Amazon? Oh.
2-day shipping. So you can catch us there this weekend. Thank you so much. Awesome.
Thank you. Well, you certainly do a lot for us. We really appreciate it. And I appreciated the turnout when I spoke at the Phillipsburg Downtown Association on Monday night. That was Monday night.
Mhm.
And I also saw you at the Y fundraiser last night.
Celebrity bartending.
Yeah, there were celebrity
We've
bartenders.
seen you every day this week.
Yeah.
We
What
have.
are you doing tomorrow?
So anyway, appreciate the efforts. The chamber does a great job. We're glad that Lewis is involved, and not only in the Latino chamber, but also on the Board of Governors. And looking forward to Veg Fest.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it'd be great. You know, we come off of Garlic Fest and get some healthy food right before we do Bacon Fest.
That's the idea.
Mayor, they had that festival was held in Tatamy last year, and they had 70 vendors.
Wow, it's
So
great.
they're
Can
looking.
you use the microphone, please, sir?
That event last year was held in Tatamy, but they marketed it as Easton, and they had some 70 vendors attend. Fairly positive turnout, not only from a vendor standpoint, but also from just the public. So this year, they, in discussion with the organizers, they decided to move it to City of Easton proper. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk to Rachel?
Yeah, we did. We set up a meeting for next week.
Okay,
It'll
awesome.
be great.
Great.
We're excited to be part of it.
Okay. Any questions from council? Well, we think it's great for you to come in and give us an update every
Yep,
once in a
that's
while,
nice.
and that's very good.
It's our pleasure. Thank you for
Tell
inviting us.
Tony I said hello.
We shall.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you.
Our next presentation is on our wayfinding sign. Dave, you want to introduce Merge?
Thank you, Mayor. As City Council is aware, after a competitive process, we onboarded Merge Consulting to help us with our city signage. One of the issues we have is that, we have inconsistent signage. A lot of our signage is outmoded. Originally we started with the D&L Visually Speaking platform, which was the garnet and gray. We have a number of different platforms. And when we started the process, we wanted to really have a consistent messaging, consistent branding of pedestrian signage, wayfinding signage, and so the purpose of tonight is to show you guys where we are in the process. Merge has come up with a couple of different design schemes to show you, and we can give them guidance whether we're on the right track with it. But ultimately, I think we're looking to highlight the gateways. They've come up with a number of various different signs, and one of the things we especially want to do is highlight the historic district. That's been something that's been in the works, and we haven't been able to, really get to that point until now. So with that, I will introduce John Bazio from Merge Consulting.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me here today. I'm going to give you just a real quick summary of the project and show you some schematic designs that we've come up with as we've gone through this. Just real quick on Merge, we're an environmental graphic design firm, and we focus on community wayfinding. So this is just a list of some of the other places we've worked with throughout the country. We've done large downtowns like San Diego and Phoenix, and small communities like Annapolis, Maryland. So hopefully we can bring a lot of lessons learned for the projects we've done before to Easton. The presentation I'm going to give you today is really two parts. It's a real quick summary on the wayfinding analysis of how people move around, and then the second part is the schematic design options that we've presented. I like to start with this photo or this photo montage of what's out there. I don't want you to think that I've come in and I've invented wayfinding. Wayfinding is out there. It's certainly a familiar face out in Easton. The other important part of this photo montage is that we are not adding to what's out there. Many of the signs that you see here will come down and be replaced with a more consistent and coordinated sign program. So it's a thoughtful process. When you think about wayfinding, it's not just that I come into town, I run around, and I put up signs everywhere. We think about wayfinding from a holistic standpoint, from the moment someone decides to come here, and what kind of information do they get when they sit down at their computer. Is that information consistent with what I'm going to see when I arrive? How is everybody using their phone to find their way? Right? So is there a digital strategy within this program that can be considered as we move through it? The environment and how that plays a role. So we all use landmarks. The circles that we have to go through as a driver, that affects our ability to find our way. Now, not something we're going to change, but we have to understand how that affects wayfinding. Support information, so like your brand, your brochures, your visitor guides, all of that information needs to be consistent with your signage so that we're presenting it as one voice and communicating as one voice. And then lastly, the signage, and we'll go through the different sign types. But if you think about wayfinding from big picture in, the gateways that welcome you to Easton, the directional signs that get you to destinations, the parking that guides me to the different garages and lots. I get out of my car and I become a pedestrian. All of those steps are part of that wayfinding process, and we want to make sure that's consistent throughout, not only in its design, but in its terminology. So again, we looked at lots of different things as part of the analysis and assessment, whether that's digital or mapping. So we will be developing a consistent universal map for Easton and downtown Easton that you will be able to see on kiosks. It'll be available to download before you arrive here. It'll be available for brochures, but it'll be consistent throughout. We talked a little bit about a digital strategy and what kind of layers of information you can have in a digital strategy. What kind of content? Is it directions to a destination? Is there a social layer? Can I get information about bike routes and parks? So it talks about that and makes some recommendations if you were just to decide to do a mobile app or have interactive kiosks, those sort of things. When we get into the wayfinding, you think of it big picture in as you approach Easton, where are the gateways into town? Are there primary gateways where you really want to make a wow statement and you really arrived? There may be some other gateways that are more secondary or tertiary where simply a marker that tells you that you've crossed into Easton might be required. So again, sort of big picture in, you get to Easton, then you get to a neighborhood. There may be a sub area within that neighborhood. You become a pedestrian, and then you get to your destination. So we have the four main neighborhoods that we're working with as far as directing people to, and then there's some sub areas like the West End, Butler Street, and the Silk Mill development. So all of those will be directed to from afar. Once you get in that district, then you start to direct to individual destinations within that district. We are directing to mostly nonprofit, government facilities, parks and rec, historic sites. We do not direct to individual businesses. We're not allowed to do that. Parking. With this project, I say parking, parking, parking. It's always an important part of an urban downtown. There's lots of different parking signs out there. We want to get that consistent. We want to make sure the language and the terminology that we're using for parking is consistent. Also think about your parking garages as a gateway, right? You come to Easton, you get into the garage, you get out of your car. That's an opportunity really to welcome people to your town. So we have some ideas. These are just examples from other places where they've created sort of a gateway inside a garage. And just real quick, these are a menu of sign types that are part of the project. So again, as Dave said, gateways coming in, maybe a couple different sizes, vehicular directional signs that need to meet with the PennDOT requirements in some cases, garage identification, getting people to parking, and then pedestrian signs. So this isn't the design, it's really just a generic menu to show what types of signs may be included in the system. I have two designs to present tonight for the schematic designs. Option one really relies heavily on your brand and your identity that you use for many of your marketing materials. So it has a really good sort of feel as a connection and extension of that branding. So here you see we've applied it to a variety of sign types. Again, all the signs that are out there come down and it gets replaced where instead of getting to an intersection where you might have 3 or 4 signs, you'll just have one sign with all the messages on it. So what you see is the
arrows.
The vehicular directional signs that direct you to the different destinations, coordinated with the parking. So all the parking signs will be the lighter blue, as well as tell you what you might be able to park for at that particular destination. There's this unique finial that fits in with the brand as well, more of a historic looking traditional pole, marking a historic district as an entry point. So there might be some different sizes and configurations to this, but this is just one version of how it would fit into this design. Pedestrian signs, a couple different types, some that are a little bit higher up that give you the distance or the length of time to walk to a destination, having a map, that'll be our downtown map that we're developing, and information about that. We have it on the back side, you could have a directory of businesses on that type of thing. That's something that you would have to decide. Bringing in brick as an element. Banners and bicycle signage as well. And then parking identification. So you see that P becomes an identifiable marker that you can follow like a breadcrumb throughout town to get to the various parking garages and lots. Option 2, there's really a 2A and a 2B, but it's really just a color change. 2A has a little bit more of an industrial feel to it, a little bit more modern. We brought in some brick in this version as well. It's much more of a modular system where there's a framework where the sign can slip in and out so that you can update it in the long run. It has an I-beam as a pole So again, it has a much sturdier sort of feel to it. And then identifying downtown at the bottom. There's a little 3D drawing of what that would look like. So this sign has a lot more dimension than the previous one. We also put in a version of how this could be extended to your park system. So again, trying to get everything to be consistent wherever I'm going, I'm getting the same language. This will also really help on your reducing clutter. One of the things about clutter is that there's just all different sizes, shapes, and colors and mounting heights for all different things. With a system like this, you're getting that language across many different things and making that consistency clean up the clutter. Again, pedestrian sign, really sturdy feel to it, brick bases and elements for the kiosks. We'll still talk as we go through the process as to what can be included in the kiosk. College Hill, directing, identifying signs there, maybe having them the color of the college. And then maybe an illuminated sign at the parking garages. Really just giving the large P so you can see it from a distance. 2B really is the same as 2A. It's just a color change. So here you see 2A as I presented it, and 2B is just bringing in the brand colors as another option to it. And then we've dropped them into a couple photos just so you can get an idea of how, it really sort of cleans up how it presents in the environment. I think in one of the decisions you have whenever we design a system like this is, I think in option 1, you're using the brand colors. It really pops in the environment. In option 2, we've used different colors that fit into the environment so the sign sits back. Still legible, but it's just a little bit different feel to it. And getting people to parking. Just a simple trailblazer to parking as well. So that's where we are with it. Mm-hmm.
Once an option is selected, will it be consistent throughout the city? Will it be the same for all of the neighborhoods?
Correct. Now, as you go beyond downtown, if there needs to be maybe a color shift or something to feel a little bit more identifiable with that neighborhood, that's something we could talk about. But the parts and how it's presented should be as consistent as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Would the downtown signs have to go before our historic district board?
Yes.
I believe so, and we've talked about that. We're not at, our next step is to come up with where signs go and what they say. And at that point, then we could sit down with them and sort of show them that plan of what they are.
Dr. Ruggles, just a couple of questions. The option 1 didn't have the ability, as I understand it, to change like option 2A did. Change the sign. You said it could be.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
It was just 2 different options. That's all. But that sort of thing could be brought into option 1 very easily. Yeah.
And the second, just an observation, and maybe you have this, but you did identify Bob Root Field and Hackett Park and so forth, but just so you know, the mapping that you had did not have either of those, either Hackett or
Kyle.
Yeah, or our
I wasn't showing destinations on the map.
No, Hugh Moore either.
Mhm.
Okay, or Hugh Moore Park. So I mean that's one of the, I think one of
They
the,
have it here, see.
Yeah, they have it there, but
That's
the mapping didn't have it.
Oh, we weren't showing those on the map yet.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's part of the destination list.
Okay.
Looks nice.
Sure.
I had some students doing signage for Hackett, and,
Mhm.
and I think one of the issues is that getting directional signs there may not be within the city limits to get, because they're outside the city limits.
Right.
And how do we address that? I mean,
We'll have to see the exact route and where signs have to be placed, and then
Okay.
we'll have to address that where whoever owns that right of way, you might have to ask to have a sign there.
Okay.
I mean, but you have to complete that.
okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that if you look at the banner configuration on the light pole, that's something that's scalable out into, the other neighborhoods. We had talked about creating various districts, like a courthouse district, which I think was well received by the county. And if you think about it, we can talk about a business district and maybe a south side business. I think that, the possibilities are there to really create certain pockets of identity using, and, that's not a terribly expensive, way to do it, so.
The thing I wanted to mention too is that I too like the slip cover kind of thing in there. You can bring it in and out interchangeable, but more so than that, when you travel to other cities, you see that multiple destinations going to different streets, like in New York, Philadelphia, Chicago. You see these signage like that all the time.
Okay, so our next steps are, we're going to continue to present this to some other stakeholders as well. We want to make sure you saw it along the way. And then we are moving into where the signs go, what they say, then ultimately moving into a bid document.
What is your timetable for?
My guess is that we will be through to the bid document probably early summer. And then depending on funding and availability, then it would go out to bid. We are putting together an order of magnitude. So it's not that, it may not be that everything gets done at once. It may have to be phased over priorities, but we'll give you a cost of everything so that you can sort of pick and choose. We do not build or install signs, so we're just designers and planners. We don't necessarily have an end result. So we'll give that to you, and then you'll be able to sort of choose.
One other question. I noticed that these poles that you have are the poles that we're using, so that will be utilized during the planning, or?
Yes.
Our current
Okay.
poles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and this sort of goes to the modularity of it. I just go back to this option. Usually when you make things modular, they tend to be a little bit more expensive just because there's more parts. Maintenance, there's more parts. So I would say this is a little bit more. We also have more brick in this one. The first one I think is probably the lesser expensive, but we can also make it. I think it sounds to me like modularity is important, so that's easy to apply to that.
Is the top of option one, is that?
Sir, can you use the microphone, please?
I can.
Thank you.
Is the top of number one, is that designable, or is that just prefabbed, or what?
The finial?
Yeah, the finial.
Yeah, it just becomes a cast.
There's a cap to fit.
Yeah.
So the bugler could go in there.
The bugler? Well, we can look at that.
Good idea.
I'd say that'd be a bit expensive.
I didn't say it would be cheap.
Sir, can I have the spelling of your last name,
Sure.
please?
B as in boy, O, S as in Sam, I-O.
We could always put it out there. You want to buy a pole.
Would anyone from the audience like to address any questions to Mr. Bazio right now, or Mr. Hopkins, while we're talking? I mean, it's next on the agenda, but if you want to address it now. Any questions? Okay, seeing none. Any other questions from City Council?
Well, they look nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank
We're
you.
looking forward to a
Thank you, Mr.
uniformity.
Bazio.
We're definitely
Appreciate
looking
coming
forward
out.
to uniformity. Good job, Mr. Hopkins. We are now at a point where we have public comment on agenda items only. If there's anyone who'd like to address City Council on agenda items, you can come up to the podium. Please give your name and address. Seeing none, we'll move into consent agenda. Mr. Clerk, I did make one mistake. The first resolution doesn't address the color. So can we keep that in?
We have to amend the agenda again, sir.
No, we'll just do it next
See.
time. We'll just do it next time.
All right, we have bill number 2, which was amending sections contained in chapter 285 fees of the Code of the City of Easton, that for construction fees, and a resolution approving a certificate of appropriateness for 118 Spring Garden Street.
I move the consent agenda.
Second?
Moved in second discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
And Mayor Panzo.
Aye. There's no reports to be received by council, so we'll move right on to committee reports. Finance Committee, Councilmember Brown.
No report, Mayor.
Economic Development,
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few
Councilmember Volcano.
have a few things to say. Tonight, we held a vacant property review committee meeting, and we were advised that of the 30-some blighted properties on our list, 6 have been taken out. Building permits were taken out on them. 5 of them are under construction. And we had, let's see, 505 and 507 Northampton Street, they have a new owner. And 532 is Center Street is on sheriff's sale. So we're hopefully encouraging people to do something when we notify them that their property has been put on a blighted list. Also, we added 4 properties today, to go to the planning to start the process of blight. And I can give you those addresses. They're in the West Ward. We designated earlier different areas, blocks of areas that we felt we wanted to attack. And the code team went out and hit one of the areas that we had designated. And in that area, they noticed 4 properties that they feel should go on the blighted list. And we voted tonight to put them there through the some of the criteria that we have that would make them be able to go forward to the planning. So the 4 properties are 36 South Warren Street, 1159 Lehigh Street, 1011 Butler Street, and 34 South Warren. So that is moving along. I want to thank Mark for the, I had asked him, our finance director, Lazinski. I asked him because I had a couple requests from a couple of my constituents that on the per capita taxes that went out, the $14 tax that we get, it says specifically on there that if you have income less than $12,000, you can be exempt. So I wanted to know how you go through that process and how do you get exempt? So he looked at the ruling, and it said that he had to somehow formulate a application, and then it would, if they qualified, they have to show proof of some of that, and they send it down to him, which he has done. So I want to thank you very much for doing that. I thought I had 2 constituents.
That was changed a few years ago. You used to have to come to city council and actually have it publicly stated
Yes,
and
sir.
voted on. Remember that?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
So
horrible. That's embarrassing.
I want to thank him. So that is now in place, but the 2 that I had somehow didn't make the cut, so they're paying the $14. The other question I have is, we had a gentleman here 2 weeks ago, Reverend Larry, in reference to the feral cat money. Can I ask what's going on with that? Because we were told it might be showing up and he would be able to possibly get it within 30 days.
Excuse me, sorry. I believe, or actually in discussions with Lewis, we decided that in order to speed up the process, that we would take money out of our contingency line item that was budgeted already for 2019 and move that into this line item for the feral cats. And actually our solicitors are reviewing the contracts now to make sure that everything is buttoned up, and once that's done, then we'll be able to proceed.
So it will come to us? No, it doesn't have to come to us?
Doesn't have to.
No,
Well-
Does it have to?
Well, the contract will have
Contract,
to come
yes.
to you. And I actually was looking at it, and I will have a couple of comments to make concerning the language in the contract as currently written. So I'll have that back to Mark within a week, so we could see where it goes as far as your next,
We get on March
Schedule
13th
meeting.
agenda.
you can get it on if they agree to what I don't like
Right.
to change.
So you
Well,
will
if they
be
don't.
contacting Reverend Larry?
I'm
yeah?
sure you'll tell him in a very persuasive way.
Because otherwise he'll be here telling us, asking us,
Tell him.
Yeah.
I thought I was getting the money in 30 days,
I'm
and
not getting into
as we promised, or thought that we could possibly do
That's a
this.
Murphy.
But, listen, he had the money last year, he just didn't spend it, so it went back.
Then I also want to say that we continue to meet on the, subcommittee continues to meet in reference to the 3 properties that we own in parking, regarding parking, the North 3rd Street lot, the North 4th Street lot, and also the Pine Street lot. And we met this week and we reviewed 2 of the developers' plans that they came back on their second interview with us. And we will be proceeding probably within a month to bring something before council, recommending who we feel should be the developer for the North Third Street lot and the North Fourth Street lot. So that's where we are there. Anything else you want to add to that, Mayor?
No, I think you covered that one very well. Our meeting today, I think we're narrowing it down. The only thing I will say is that we want the North Fourth Street garage built first before we can do anything with the Pine Street garage, obviously because we need parking. This garage is now at capacity. Pine Street is not at capacity most days, but during the summer months, it is at capacity. And if it snows, it's at capacity because we won't be able to use the roof. But it's moving forward. Thank you, Mrs. Volcano, for that update.
You're welcome, Mayor.
The
That's
good
all I
news
have.
is that we had 11 proposals, and it was very difficult to choose because they're all very good, and they're a great addition to our city, not only with residents, but also with some good commercial properties and tax ratables, which is important. Okay,
That's
moving
all I have.
on
Thank
to
you.
Planning and Code, Councilmember O'Connell.
I have no report, Mayor.
Public Safety, Councilman Milan.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Public Works, Councilman Ruggles.
Thank you. I have no report on Public Works tonight, but I did want to mention to council, I had mentioned earlier that about a tax rebate for seniors. And we have been meeting related to that, and I think we're getting fairly close to putting something together that
Good.
you guys will be able to review and give input to. So, but it's moving along.
Yes, it is.
And I do want to just point out at this point is that in March there is going to be hosted a community breakfast. Okay, and I'm hoping that everybody comes. We haven't set a specific date, but the intent is to have the entire community come. And so,
Mayor, yeah, I want to tell you, try and stay away from the 17th and the 31st, if it's in March.
okay,
It's a Sunday?
no, it'll probably be a Saturday.
Oh, well, then never mind.
Yeah. But I will give you the date on that as soon as we firm it up. But I'm hoping we have a good turnout.
I would say you will. You're cooking, so I'm
got
sure it
site
will
plan.
be.
That's all we get.
Where's the site at, the garage?
What's that?
Where's it gonna be at?
It'll be it.
St.
St.
John's.
John's, okay.
Administration Committee, Councilmember Ettinger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few things that administration's working on. Administration's recommending that council approve a 3-year CoStars agreement for a new copier vendor, and there's significant savings involved there. Under Human Resources, we have the Act 111 Arbitration Award, which is the back pay due to the Easton Fire Department firefighters of approximately $460,000. It's going to go this week. Is that correct, Lois? It does include part-time firefighter, and administration is seeking to fill all vacant positions within the fire department, including working with alternative options for reducing overtime costs prior to deploying part-time staff. Louis, while we're under that subject, perhaps we should look into getting a study done to get, make sure that we have suitable manning in place and facilities.
Sir, your microphone?
That's a good comment, Councilman. If you recall, the administration was looking into having a study done, but put a break on that report, if you will, due to the fact that we felt that it was more prudent to hire a chief and then fill the leadership positions over in the fire department. So certainly we'll take that into consideration. Now that we've obviously identified a chief tonight, he was sworn in, and then shortly we're going to be seeking to fill all the leadership vacant positions. So once we have that accomplished, I could talk to the chief and see if that makes sense. And certainly, obviously, with your recommendation.
With the collective bargaining agreement, the CBA requires 42 full-time firefighters. So we can't go below that. As far as part-time, we were probably the first department in the state to get part-time firefighters, so that was a big win for us, but we don't intend to fill part-time firefighters. Chief Krill feels that he can work with the department and the men in the department to get the overtime costs down to something more reasonable than $800,000 a year. And we're going to give him the time to do that. That may require some concessions from the union as well. So we're those things Mr. Campos will be working on over the next couple of weeks to a couple of months. The other thing is in the capital budgets, as far as facilities, in the capital budget, we've been replacing and updating all of our fire equipment. But one of the things you're going to see as well when the capital budget comes is in addition to central fire to hopefully include female firefighters. Right now, we try very hard to recruit female firefighters, but we haven't had any luck. But when we do, we want to make sure we have the separate living quarters for them. So that you'll see that as well. Mr. Krill, our chief, is actually going around, as I am, to all of our community events, mentioning that the firefighters test is coming up. And we're trying to recruit local residents, more local residents. Now, obviously, city residents are our first choice, but at least from the Easton area. So they have some idea of what this is like, and also so that some of their salary comes back to the city. But I know we are not happy with the last list that the Civil Service Board did because there was only 5 names on it, and we used to get 100 people take that test. So we want to make sure that we have a good sampling of people that can not only take the test, but be prepared and pass the test.
We had more people.
Sir, microphone.
We had more people take
Yes.
the exam than 5, though.
We did have more people take the test, but it's,
Only 5 passed it.
some people couldn't do the push-ups. Some people didn't do well on the written test. I mean, it's a civil service test. It's not, I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it's certainly something you got to prepare for.
And-
Moving on, thank you, Mr. Henniger. Anyone else?
No, there's still a few other
Sure.
things. The administration is requesting city council approve a junior foreman position within the planning and codes department. I believe that was pulled from the agenda
There was
prior, but it's
services.
back on. Under finance, the administration is requesting that council approve all clerks in the finance department move to a clerk 3 position. Current staff has performed at a high level and increases to prevent flight to other departments. We're also, the human capital management software, the applicant tracking is live and all applicants will be directed to the ATS website for employment applications. And the next automation focus will be attendance tracking, followed by onboarding and performance reviews. We also, as Sandy said, the RFPs on the lots are still underway, as are the negotiations with Da Vinci for that property. So stay tuned.
Good job. I want to also, while you're talking about IT things, I want to thank Frank. It's been a busy couple of years for Frank, and there is a position open in that department now for our IT department. With the retirement of Frank Chessesi, we've taken that from a part-time position to a full-time position. So he's back there with Chris, our intern, streaming. Chris is from Eulenberg College. We thank him for being here as well and giving his talents to our city. And anything else, Mr. Henniger?
That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Report of the city solicitor, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of Attorney Scheer and me, I report that council met in executive session just prior to this public meeting, and the topic of discussion was personnel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Report of the mayor, I will just say that Stephen is here this evening, not for this purpose, but I want you to know that within the next couple of weeks to month, you will be getting the short-term occupancy rentals, trying to control Airbnbs in our city. He's working on that ordinance. Dave is here. Dave Hopkins is finalizing the Wood Avenue infrastructure update. And also the Easton Iron and Metal project is moving forward, and with the Carlstone Arch Trail and that new park. Happy about that. I just want to mention that cannabis legislation was very tense and difficult a few months ago. I did talk to Jeff Reedy today. I will get a copy of the city resolution and the Pennsylvania Municipal League resolution supporting the decriminalization of marijuana, possession of small amounts of marijuana. I will be out in Harrisburg probably next week. He's out there as well. We do have at least one senator and one representative who will sponsor a bill, and maybe we can get at least decriminalization moving forward. As I promised him last year, I would work at the state level because I didn't think it's a local issue. All right? Any questions? So I thank Mr. Milan for bringing that to our attention, and hopefully this year we can get that done. There's no correspondence, so we'll move right on to unfinished business, Mr. Clerk.
We have bill number 3, which was introduced by James Ettinger on February 13th, 2019, an ordinance setting forth the benefits and compensation for elected officials of the city of Easton, Pennsylvania.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
I have a couple questions. Did you do any kind of salary comparisons to other cities throughout the Commonwealth
They did.
before you guys went ahead and put this through?
I'm sorry,
Elected officials?
HR did it within the county.
So not across any third-class city across the country, the state?
I would have to bring HR in.
Okay.
They
I'd
looked
like
at
to have
the,
seen that before we.
The original recommendations, the panel that made the original recommendations did use examples of third-class cities all throughout the Commonwealth and their determination and their recommendations.
Were you on the commission at the time?
I was.
Do you know that the CPI they were using does not exist? They were using the Lehigh Valley CPI from Philadelphia. It doesn't even exist. Okay. At any rate, yeah, there's a CPI number that they were using for the Lehigh Valley. It doesn't exist. It comes from Philadelphia. So somehow in the charter, it was documented that we should be using some kind of Lehigh Valley subset of Philadelphia for the CPI, and it doesn't exist. That being said, so you guys did a salary study back in 2007?
I'm not sure that.
Okay.
I believe it was.
I don't remember.
I believe it was. I think we looked at comparable salaries in the private sector and went through the economic development, Lehigh Valley economic development too.
We compared salaries to the private sector.
Comparable, and third-class cities.
Why are we two to business?
Why would you use a mayor's salary against a private sector business? I'm just curious.
I'm not saying that we used that. I'm saying we looked at that at the time, and they looked at also other comparables in third-class cities where those salaries were at that time.
Okay. Did we use any kind of population statistics, or we just kind of went across the Commonwealth and picked cities?
I can't answer that question.
Okay. Because, I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and I'm going to, unfortunately, but we're looking at a 6% increase for the mayor's salary for next year. And then basically a 3% increase from now until the end of the term. That's what the average administration raises, correct? 3%?
Yep, 3%.
it was under 3% in the
Yes, it
last
was
couple
2.25.
of.
2.25 this year.
2.25.
So,
But it
I mean,
depends. It depends. In the past, I mean, every year for the last, who knows, maybe at least
Forever.
10 years,
Forever.
if not more, there's been some sort of an increase between 3% or under, between 2 and 3%.
okay.
So compounded, it's a lot higher than the 3% increase.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you look at the 2% increase, by the year 2023, the salary for the mayor is going to be $99,000. That's going to be the highest in the entire Commonwealth. That's the number. The highest paid mayor right now is Allentown and Erie's.
They're first-class cities.
Yep.
Erie's third class.
Well, there's only one first-class city. That's
Right,
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
And Pittsburgh is the second-class city.
Right, I'm sorry.
So, I mean, the average per resident charge is about $1.54. We're at $3.20 right now. With this increase from next year, we're going to be at $3.39 a resident. So I mean, it's uncomfortable. I get it. No one's got to. We have to debate it, but I'm just kind of being honest here. Like it's a lot of money. I'm okay with a raise for next year, but a year, a annual raise after that for 4 years is, I got a problem with that. Elected officials don't get raises every year. We just don't do it. It's unheard of. So I just kind of want everybody to know.
I would like to see more data on
You don't have
what
to.
you
I have
found.
I have it right here. What data do you want to see?
No, I'm talking about what the HR found out. We weren't shown any of that.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, I can give it to you right here. Give me any city you want of the third class, and I'll give you the salary for the mayor and the population and the last time they touched it. Pick one. Bethlehem,
Bethlehem,
$90,500.
do they have an increase every year?
No. Population is 74,000 people. What? Lancaster's 85,000, and their population is 59,000 people. 2018.
But to speak to that, I don't know what the other mayors do in their cities, but I know what our mayor does in this city, and our mayor is very active in our community.
No one's going to dispute that. But the
And
reality
so
is,
that should take some kind of play.
it should.
Look at that salary.
But let's be honest too, though. Those mayors that are getting paid those numbers are part of a mayor council form of government. We have a council manager form of government, where he's in charge of day-to-day operations. That's the reality.
That's not true.
No.
Please don't misinterpret the charter. He is in charge of day-to-day operations with the approval and consent of the mayor.
Right.
The mayor is still the chief elected official of the city. And I don't care what you do with the salary. I'm not even going to speak to the salary, but don't misconstrue the position of mayor. Whomever that mayor is still the chief elected official and chief executive officer as per the charter.
So can you define that then?
His position is very similar to what should be called a managing director like Allentown does have. So don't say that the other cities don't have that. Other cities have a managing director. We happen to call ours a city administrator.
Right, but our form of government is council manager, though.
That is, no, it's council. It's
Council
mayor
mayor.
on council is what the official
Mayor
name is.
council, that's
Mayor
the
on
official
council.
name.
Mayor on
Microphone,
council.
Mayor on
sir.
council?
Mayor,
It's not a manager form of government.
no, it's a mayor.
I didn't say it was.
Okay.
It's council manager. The mayor's part of the council.
Mayor.
Correct. The mayor
That's what I
is.
said.
Okay, I agree with
The
you.
name is
Not
mayor on
manager.
council.
Mayor on council.
Yes.
Not mayor, manager council.
No, it's council manager. It's semantics. I mean, it's council manager.
Well,
You
he's
will
not
not-
called council manager.
You'll never
Are
see
you
council
ta-
manager
Are you
used
talking about?
anywhere.
The form of government we have is not.
No,
It's a
are you-
mayor on council, and that's it.
Are you,
Yeah.
are you, yes, the mayor is on council, but when you say
The
council
form
manager.
of government.
What-
It's a home rule, right?
Correct.
A council manager.
No,
No.
Okay.
mayor on council.
We must have the only form of government
We
in the
do.
entire Commonwealth that's like that.
We
We
do.
do.
We do in
We're the only one.
Pennsylvania.
We're the only
Isn't there one down in Florida?
Orlando.
Interesting.
Yeah,
And I voted against this charter because I don't
So
agree
did
that
a
the
lot
mayor
of
should be
people.
on council.
Yeah,
but
ju-
not enough to change
Just to
it.
be technically accurate here,
Sure.
3.01 defines the executive powers of the city shall be vested in the mayor, who shall be the chief executive officer of the city government. That's what our mayor is in title, and the powers and duties of the mayor include serving as chair of council, see that all laws, provisions, charters, and acts are faithfully executed, submit the annual budget and capital program. And there's eight different areas that the mayor's responsibilities are pursuant to Article 3. And then there's also the role of the mayor includes appointing and may remove, subject to the advice and consent of a majority of city council, the city administrator, the city solicitor, and any assistant solicitors. The mayor shall also appoint members of the board, and they have a provision.
So what does it say
deputy
about
mayor.
operations then, since you're reading it?
I don't know that it says anything about
Doesn't.
operations other than the word that the executive powers are in the name of the mayor. You got to look, there is a separate description of what the city
Yeah, if you look under city administrator,
administrator.
you'll see that he's in charge of, he or she is in charge of
The
day-to-day
fo-
operations.
Following nomination, the city administrator, following nomination by the mayor, the city council by majority vote appoints. City administrator shall be appointed on the basis of education, et cetera, et cetera. And somewhere here, there are C304 is the duties of the city administrator, should be the chief administrative and operating officer of the city, responsible to the mayor and council for management of all city affairs placed in the administrator's charge by or under this charter,
city administrator shall, subject to approval of mayor, and then it goes on with a whole series of things of appointments that the city administrator would do, but it will be subject to approval by mayor. So any of the powers and duties of the city administrator ultimately is subject to the approval of the mayor. And that gets into really all the operating aspects. I would look at all these duties as operating related. You know,
What do you, if you're
hiring employees, you know.
I have no problem with Mr. Milan, what you want to do with the mayor's salary, because frankly, I made a hell of a lot more money in the private sector. But my concern is you're trying to make it out like the mayor's position. You don't talk about the council being the highest paid in the Lehigh Valley, in the state of Pennsylvania either. City council has always been the highest paid in the state of Pennsylvania.
I didn't know that.
And including to get health benefits. And all I'm saying is that you're looking at apples and oranges. The mayor of Allentown may make $1,500 less, but he has a staff that's 3 times the size of the city. I'm talking about the mayor's staff, not the city staff. I'm talking about 5 people in his office, not 2. And that is shared with Mr. Campos. I'm not going to speak to the, all I'm saying is that I don't care who the mayor is of this town. I'm looking at what the directors get paid versus what the mayor gets paid. And if the director, all you're doing by percentage is you're separate. You know, you have part-timers on council, but you have a full-time mayor, whomever that mayor is, which gets further and further apart. As they keep getting their 3%, the mayor's still down here and they're up there. And it's just, sometimes it's difficult to get, maybe some people care about money and they won't run. And maybe if you had a decent salary, people would run for this position. I don't know. I don't really think about that. When I decided to leave the private sector to come back to public, I had no decision. It was for the community, not for me. So, I mean, council, this is up to council, but I would hate to see it keep lingering. It's already been, the controller's salary has been reduced, because we still hear people saying it's going up 40%. And let me just point out that was done because the controller before Mr. Basile was at $29,000 15 years ago. For some reason, it was lowered to 19 or 20,000, and so all we did was say, okay, well, it should go back up to what it was 15 years ago, and that's all we did. But I really, it's very much, it's one of the responsibilities of the city council. But please don't sit here and tell me how much the mayor makes when the city council happens to be the highest paid as well. I just don't think that's fair.
And that was done so.
Well, I mean, it's
whomever is in that seat. Whomever's in that seat.
But we're not asking for a raise for city council, though.
But
I mean, we're not asking for a raise, though.
Exactly.
I didn't set the salary back in 2010. You guys did. I wasn't on council. You guys set the salary back in 2010.
It was the same salary as it was before that.
It's been the same salary for
Yeah, but I haven't.
Been there for 20 years.
Right, but I haven't raised it. You guys
I
said
didn't
it.
set it. It was
I'm
there
just saying.
Well, you guys, somebody said it. I didn't set it.
20 years ago.
Well, I wasn't here.
Yeah.
So whoever said it, you guys can take responsibility for it. I didn't set it. Don't put it on me. I didn't set it.
I don't think I said you said it. I said
Well,
don't
but you-
talk
you-
about one office without talking
Right,
about
but
the other office.
but we're talking about salaries, though, right? We're talking about salaries.
Mm-hmm.
This salary, the council salary was set 20 years ago.
Yep.
The mayor's salary was set back in 2010, and now we're changing it 9 years later.
No, the mayor's salary was set in 2008 when the city charter was.
Well, the last ordinance was 2010.
Oh yeah, because it was just updated.
Right. So it's not apples to oranges. I mean, it's still, you're talking about salaries that haven't been touched in 20 years. In this ordinance, you guys did change the benefits, I'm not mistaken, for elected officials. You put that back in, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you took it out for the last ordinance. The last section, the last pass, you took it out and you put it back in then.
I did not take it out.
Who took it out?
That was council's.
No, we didn't take it out.
Council tabled it and resubmitted the ordinance.
Who resubmitted it?
It was resubmitted the
was
way
resubmitted-
council asked.
It was resubmitted with the original.
But the reason why it was, since we're talking about this, let me explain why the resolution was put in initially. My concern continues to be part-time employees versus full-time employees. A certain class of part-time employees are getting health benefits. The rest of part-time employees don't get it. I just want to make sure we're following the letter of the law. If city council members are a separate class of part-time employee, fine. But the IRS says you treat all employees the same. And that was my concern. I was told that city council is not just part-timers, they're public officials. So it was put back in. And my only concern was was IRS. Not what we pay for the council members, what we would have to pay all the parking enforcement officers, all the lifeguards during the summer, all those people would get health benefits. That was my concern. Again, looking out for the finances of the city.
My understanding is that Phil's already had his grant, but anybody can afford it.
Okay, so we going forward?
Can we vote? It's fine.
And I think the mayor's salary is the livelihood of that person, whomever that person is. I don't think the livelihood of a council member is that salary that they get, the stipend they get from the city. I'm very cautious that I don't want to make sure, if you want, you can set it what you want. But the fact of the matter is, that is their livelihood, whomever that mayor may be. That's all I'm saying. And so if you want to just set it at 91 and then it goes 2 years later to 93, I don't really care. If I was here for the money, I wouldn't be here. So it doesn't matter to me. It's a pittance compared to the amount of hours you should put in. Unfortunately, not every mayor in the past has done that. But if you want to really do your job, you need to be in Harrisburg, you need to be in Washington getting money, getting grants. And that's also not taking into consideration the amount of things you pay for out of your own pocket while you're the mayor of the city, because the city doesn't cover 90% of those expenses. Is there a second?
No, it was second.
Oh, was second?
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Somebody want to call the question?
Call the question.
Or want to put an alternative motion in? I don't care. Are you, Mr. Milan, would you like to make an amendment?
No.
So you want to sit here and make all kinds of public accusations and public display of how you want to go attack the mayor, but yet
I'm
the
not
mayor's
attacking
salary,
the mayor.
the mayor's
I'm not
salary,
attacking
excuse me,
yeah,
mayor's salary.
let's not get personal.
But you don't want to make an amendment to
I
it.
don't actually, because the administration made a recommendation, and I'll just vote on the merits of it. That's all.
Okay.
The administration made a
Well,
recommendation.
that's not, no, the administration makes a
Call
recommendation.
the question.
City council can do what they want.
I
You want to
understand
change
that.
it, change it.
I'm fine with it. I'll vote on the merits of it.
Sir, Mr. Brown called the question.
Yes, I heard him. Roll call.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
No.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
I would like to ask my council members if I could abstain.
Yes,
What?
I'll give you that permission.
This goes into effect at after
Oh,
the
that's
next
right.
election.
I know.
Right.
So
So I have to vote.
you vote on it because it's,
Aye.
Okay.
thank you.
Well, he can
Okay, we have a I'm sorry.
No.
New business.
Yes.
understand that, but
We have a resolution being introduced by Roger Ruggles, resolved by the authority of the City Council of the City of East Northampton County, and is hereby resolved by the authority of the same, that the Director of Public Works of said City of Easton is authorized and directed to submit the attached application for traffic signal approval for State Route 2023, which is North 3rd Street and Snyder Street, to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, and to sign the application on behalf of the City of Easton.
So move.
Second.
Roll call. I mean, discussion, I'm sorry.
Can you come up to the podium, please? David? Are these improvements going to cause more traffic from College Avenue down to 3rd Street?
No. The forms themselves are actually sort of formalities. So anytime you change a pavement marking or a sign that's contained within a signal permit, PennDOT requires the filing of the form. These are both really minor changes. One of them is actually the painting of a crosswalk, and the other one is a proposed new material for the mid-block crossing on North 3rd Street, but within the college's arts campus.
Right.
So where the flashing blinkers are right now, that's an older concrete surface. That's going to be replaced with, I think, a paver type of material. So they require that to be noted on the form and then eventually memorialized as part of the signal permit. What the college is proposing is basically a raised version of what's there now. Sort of right now you have the gray stamped concrete that goes down the center of the island with the former medallion. That's, there was a utility dig there, so that's been in disrepair for quite some time. That's all getting replaced, but the lanes are getting widened as well. So the former bump outs that were there are going to have to be moved back to accommodate the same amount of traffic. So it should not have any effect on existing traffic flows. It's really going to be sort of the same geometry. You may recall back in 2003 when the original improvement was done and the bump outs were placed there, that was done to stop having 2 lanes of traffic on the approach to the Snyder Street signal, because a lot of times people wouldn't actually turn at Snyder Street and it would cause confusion going under the bridge. And then there was also the crosswalk issue when the college actually built the North 3rd Street campus. So that was narrowed down. And I think it functions well 99% of the time. You get some queuing once in a while, but overall I think it was a pedestrian improvement, and I think it's accommodated that. But the proposed project right now wouldn't have any material effect. It's just kind of moving the lane geometry over a little bit.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Okay, we have a resolution being introduced by Roger Ruggles, resolved by the authority of the City Council of the City of Easton, Northampton County, and it is hereby resolved by the authority of the same that the Director of Public Works of said City of Easton is authorized and directed to submit the attached application for traffic signal approval for State Route 2023 North 3rd Street and Lafayette College Arts Campus to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation and to sign this application on behalf of the City of Easton.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
We have a resolution being introduced by David O'Connell, resolved by the Council of the City of Easton, Pennsylvania, that the job description for the position of junior foreman, copy attached here too, in the Department of Planning and Codes, as recommended by the city administration, be and is hereby approved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Okay, resolved, we have a resolution being introduced by Sandra Volcano. Resolved that the council hereby authorizes Mr. David Rose, 3410 Vermont Street, Easton, PA, to sell non-alcoholic beverages and food in Center Square from 9 p.m. until 3 p.m. from March through November every year.
So moved.
Second.
AM.
Yes, what did I say, 3 p.m.?
PM.
I'm sorry, 3 a.m.
Moved and seconded.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
I did.
Okay.
Mr. Brown. Discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Good luck, Mr. Rose.
Okay.
Is he
And,
here?
and
We have-
he's here. And Cliff said that he would be more than happy to help you out from like 1 to 3. Yeah. Clifford there.
Okay, we have a resolution being introduced by Roger Ruggles. Resolved that council has reviewed and approves a cost per image agreement, copy attached here too, between the City of Easton and Great America Financial Services for the lease of 7 Kyocera 5052 CI color systems copier machines at a price of $1,735.50 for 36 months. So that's, I'm sorry,
I move.
that's per year.
No.
No,
I'm
per
going to
month,
make an
per
amendment,
Okay,
but
go ahead.
we'll,
Oh, okay,
I'm moving it first.
all right.
It's moved. I need a second to move it.
Second.
Moved in second. Dr. Ruggles?
Yes, I think that right after $1,735.50,
Yes,
we should put in there per month.
for 36 months.
Yeah, for 36 months. That's what the contract says, so.
Probably just
It's not that
put
much
it in
for
there.
36 months. It's
Right.
that much per
Per month
Right.
for 36 months.
Copy that.
Copy that.
Copy.
Yeah, you're getting like Murphy. You're sitting next to him too long.
I don't know if I got a second on
No, you didn't get a
You're
second.
getting a second on the amendment. We need
Second.
moved in second on the amendment. Discussion. Roll call on the amendment.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. Eddinger?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Roll call on the amended resolution. Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Eddinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
We have a resolution being introduced by Peter Milan. Resolved that the Council of the City of Easton, Pennsylvania has reviewed and accepts the Easton Firefighters Local 713 and City of Easton Act 111 Interest Arbitration Award for January 1st of 2017 through December 31st of 2020. Copy attached here too.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor Panto?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Eddinger?
Aye.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Okay, we have a resolution being introduced by James Eddinger. Resolved that resolution number 216-218, or 2018, which is the 2019 salary and wage resolution, is hereby amended as follows. In the Department of Planning and Codes, add the junior foreman at 25.18 per hour, which is a salary of $46,000. In the Department of Finance, from clerk 3, clerk 2, clerk 1, clerk 1 floater, they're now making it 2 clerk 3s, 0 clerk 2s, 0 clerk 1, and 1 clerk 3 floater.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Discussion.
I have a question. How do you go from a clerk 1 to a clerk 2 to a clerk 3? What's the timing of this? What are the requirements?
There's no time.
There's no time. It was by
Review.
position. That's why we're changing it. We should have pointed that out in this memo that our intent is that all clerks will come in at 1. After their probation, they'll go to a 2, and then after director's recommendation, they'll go to a 3. Right now, it was originally by position. When clerk 1 was basically a typist, there's no such position anymore. A clerk 3 may have been a junior accountant of some type. So the designations are old. So the person now will come in and by longevity will go from a 1 to a 2 to a 3 like they do in most other businesses today. Clerk, the reason why this one is being done is Mr. Lisinecki has 2 people who are at a clerk 2. There happens to be an opening for a clerk 3 in the police department, and they would obviously want the raise. So when we looked at it, we said, yeah, well, they're right. The clerk in the finance department actually is collecting money, is bonded, and everything else, and the clerk in the police department is more of a regular clerk. So the recommendation of administration is to make finance direct clerks 3s. When we bring on other people from now on, anybody from the outside will start at clerk 1. After the probie period, will go to clerk 2, and then after a certain period of time, and with the recommendation of the director, they'll go to a clerk 3, based on longevity, not on skill set.
That's correct, Mayor.
Dr. Ruggles.
Just a procedural question. This is amending the 2019 salary and wage. In the firefighters agreement, we had to pay them for the previous year's, what would have been their salary increase.
Correct.
Does that have to be approved by council? I don't see that as a component of this particular resolution.
Excuse me. That on the bottom, it does have fire department. I didn't read that.
No, I know
What
it
I'm
has it
saying
down
is
there.
maybe we should add retroactive or whatever to 2017.
Yeah, but I mean, this is amending the 2019 salary and wage ordinance, and it's not addressing previous year's salaries.
Well, how would you amend annual budgets though for the past 3 years? How would you amend the?
You don't amend that budget, you just allocate money
That was sitting there.
from whatever fund we've saved that money in to cover that expense.
But it's already allocated though. It's already allocated.
Wouldn't that money sit?
You allocated when you approved the budget.
It's already allocated.
The previous resolution approves the arbitration award, which includes that. Includes their back pay and their current pay.
Then why is that in here? I mean, it seems like we need to have somewhere where we have the back pay addressed.
Dr. Ruggles is right when we say we need the two, at least, I don't know about the back pay, but you certainly need the new salaries for all the firefighters in the salary and wage ordinance.
I believe they are in the salary and wage ordinance now, sir. Not in this, but we get the salary and wage from Stephanie.
Oh, yeah, but she didn't have the new one. The new one was just awarded by the arbitration panel.
I believe she did already.
Oh, she did? Okay.
Yes,
Well,
I
if
believe
that's
she did.
awarded the arbitration award, then that's included in the 2019 budget.
Correct, because it's,
Because you're accepting that. So if you're accepting that, then you're accepting that in the 2019 budget as amended.
And then the salary schedule will be updated.
Yes.
Any other
This,
questions?
this just says, salary and wage resolution is hereby amended as follows. And the 2019 salary and wage is amended as follows. And I understand where that would amend the salaries for 2019 for firefighters. I do not understand how that would amend the raises that they would get in 2018. We're amending the 2019 resolution.
Right, but isn't that included for the 2018 and the 2019 arbitration award?
It says the increase of all firefighters' salaries per arbitration agreement.
Right, and that addresses the 2018.
2017 also, sir.
2017, yes, 17 and
17 and
18,
18.
which is now addressed in the arbitration award, which we've accepted in 2019, which will include those increases, which they should have received, but which they didn't, but now, I like I'm talking in circles, but now they do.
By approving the arbitration agreement, we agreed to do that.
Right. Any other?
I'm not going to argue anymore. I think this is not
I think your point
clean.
is correct.
It's not clean.
Yes, you're correct.
Except that the nature of arbitration awards that are so far after the fact is that you can't go backwards. You have to accept it within the new fiscal year. So it's basically the retroactivity is built in by the reference to the arbitration award without changing the 2017 and 2018 wage ordinances. So that's why the 2019 wage ordinance, these changes are incorporating the award.
That I understand, but the 2019 salary should be updated in the salary and wage ordinance for this year.
Oh,
They
sure.
are. They are.
Yeah, they are.
What's Mr. Hess is
Right,
saying they
right.
are.
And to address Dr. Ruggles' issue.
Here's my question. How can Stephanie update a resolution of council without approval by council? Don't we
It's
have
the
to
salary
approve?
and wage ordinance. This is it. She just put this into the salary and wage, into the list, the document.
Okay.
That's what we do every time.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I just thought that it should come to council for approval.
Well, it is. This is the resolution you're
By
voting
by
tonight.
approving the contract, the arbitration award. Okay,
Yeah.
I got that. I understand that. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
But I want to make sure Dr. Ruggles is clear before we move on.
I think Dr. Ruggles.
I'll accept Attorney Shear's explanation.
Yeah,
Oh, but
and
the
as
main-
Dr. Ruggles knows, he played ball this afternoon. By this time of night, nothing's clear anymore.
Did you play too? Yes. Did you jump?
You're on the clock, Joel.
I have a waiver on jumping.
I didn't think you jumped.
He asked for extra time out there.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger.
Aye.
Mr. Milan.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell.
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles.
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano.
Aye.
Mayor Pant.
Aye.
That's it.
At this time in our agenda, we're at the place for public comment on any of my item, question, comment, concerns on anything that's not even on the agenda? Anyone like to? Mr. Rose? Could have brought a couple hot dogs. We didn't have
Yeah,
lunch.
you could've-
We didn't have dinner.
And a couple non-alcoholic beverages, too.
But you
But
gotta,
no, that's
but you
the
gotta
ethics
pay
thing.
for it.
We gotta be careful.
Always have to pay for it.
Hi, my name is David Rose, 3410 Vermont Street, Easton. I'd just like to say thank you for everyone involved in renewing the resolution for this year again.
You're welcome.
It
I'm
has, it
just
doesn't
sorry
have a
to-
year. It's now every year. It doesn't need to be renewed next year.
Oh,
You
well,
don't have
that's, I was
come in
gonna
and
ask
see us.
that. Do we have to do it every year?
No, we don't have to do it every year now.
Okay,
Thank you, David.
You don't have to.
Anyone
remind
else like
us.
to? Roll call. A motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Volcano, Brown.
Roll call.
Mr. Milan?
Aye.
Mr. O'Connell?
Aye.
Dr. Ruggles?
Aye.
Mrs. Volcano?
Aye.
Mayor Panzo?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Ettinger?
Aye.
I'm sorry, Mark, I couldn't get your last name out. My mind was spinning with everything else out of it. But thank
Going
you.
around getting signatures for my son-in-law, and I happened to stop on Spring Garden Street. And there was a woman there that claimed her.
Okay.
Kind of like,
Here,
you know,
want to do that and come back to me or email it to you?
kind of a triangular little park.